Murder! Murder! Murder!
Most Foul. Welcome to Most Foul TV. This is Most Foul TV with your host, Dante Petty.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Most Foul TV. I'm your host, Dante Pena, and this is Most Foul Chief. All right, let's get right into it today. Not much news, not much Chief business to talk about, but we do got a couple of things, kind of go over what they've been yammering about in the news there. I do got a couple of things to bitch about, or, at least... or not even bitch about, more like fucking call Skip Bayless out on his bullshit, right? So let's get right into it. Now, I guess I get it. It's a slow news time right now in the NFL, right? What is there to talk about, other than the coronavirus and all that, and these virtual practice or virtual meetings and all that bullshit, right? So I understand that they're trying to create a story. They're trying to talk about something, right? Like, they got no choice. I understand that. They still got to put something on TV. So, with that said, I get trying to talk about some shit, but it's like sometimes it's almost like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, seriously. Like, I mean, I don't know if Skip Bayless, he's forcing it. It's to the point where it's so ridiculous that they're forcing it, so why fucking put it out? Like, I know you don't believe this bullshit. Like, I know it's one thing to try to talk about some shit and have a show and, and try to entertain people. It's another to just flat out boldly fucking lie to our face to put out a show. Like, I'd much rather have two of the Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp on that show if they need something to talk about. Just fucking agree if you have to. Agree with each other. They don't always have to fucking... I know it's called Undisputed, but... you don't always have to fucking argue with each other. It doesn't always have to be a fucking debate. Be like, yeah, well, I agree, and because of this, and I see your point here, and I will also because of this. I know, so there could be a legitimate fucking conversation there, like a legitimate belief. But sometimes some of the dumb shit that they come out with, it's so fucking ridiculous. Where you're only saying that because you need to fucking put on a show. Shit, I thought I lowered that. Hang on a second, guys. Yeah, and I'll tell you what I'm talking about. So, there, now it's on vibrate. What I have, you guys see that fucking his mug behind me, right, or right there, that fucking guy, wherever, that dude. You know who I'm pointing to? Him, right there. That idiot. So, and again, I like Skip Bayless. I used to, like, he used to be on First Take. It seemed a little more authentic. Now their show just kind of seems forced, and it's like, here, you're going to be the guy that's just going to hate on Mahomes because we need something like that. Like, it's not like what's his name, fucking the other idiot, the coach that's on that always argues with Nick Wright, Mangini, fucking whatever the fuck his first name is, whatever, Coach Mangini, I always call him Mangina. Like, that idiot, you can tell legitimately doesn't like fucking Patrick Mahomes or the Chiefs. Like, he just fucking loves to hate on him because he sucks the nuts of the Patriots. Like, he's a former Patriot, and he's just this negative, like, dude. And you can tell that. Like, oh, well, like, after we win the Super Bowl, Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. Well, I mean, I don't want to crown. Shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. Like, you're an idiot, okay? So with Skip Bayless, though, like, again, like, you can tell it's bullshit, and it's almost more insulting than, like, at least Mangini, I know fucking that's really him. Like, he's just a hating little bastard. Like, I get that, and I can at least respect that. That's his legitimate fucking opinion. But with Skip, it's like he's almost smirking at the camera, like, yeah, I don't believe any of this shit, but I gotta say it because I need to check. Like, so. But with that said, I'm gonna play some shit here. And we'll talk about it. But what this topic is about, I'm not play the whole thing. I'll just play a little bit of what Skip says so you can get an idea of my fucking annoyed attitude with it. But the topic was the Pro Football Focus or Sports Illustrated. Somebody did a best quarterback clutch of last year. Who the number one clutch quarterback of last year. and they said it was Deshaun Watson over Patrick Mahomes. Now, granted, I know, again, I'm biased or whatever, Chiefs fan, all that, and I don't expect Mahomes to be number one in every category or whatever, or try to say, like, oh, he's the best at everything, no matter what. Like, no, I'm not. But to fucking say, and I like Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson is a hell of a player and a hell of a quarterback, and he's going to be great. And the rivalry back and forth, if they don't fuck his team up, which they already have, is going to be great. But to say that he was more clutch than Patrick Mahomes when Mahomes won the Super Bowl, when Mahomes down from 24 points comes back to winning the playoffs, down by 10 points, comes back to winning the AFC Championship, down by 10 points in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, comes back to win it? What the fuck are you talking about? When it was Deshaun Watson's turn to pull his team out of the fire in the playoffs, he lost. Okay, and then and so the dumb points that Skip makes, and you'll hear this in a second, is he names all of the comebacks. And he does have more. Yeah, he has more comebacks than Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, because Mahomes is never down. That's the problem. That's the whole reason. The reason why he doesn't have a lot of comebacks is because he doesn't have to, because guess what? He's usually winning. But when the rare occasion where they're not, he can still pull their ass out of the fire. And he's proved it. Obviously, the ring confirms that. But let's go to this, and I want you to hear this shit, and let's hear what Numbnuts has to say. Oh, I love this bullshit.
Pretty quickly, sooner than later, you're going to see a Super Bowl team in Tampa Bay.
Fucking.
You're going to see a 43-year-old quarterback. And once again, he's still the current and the lasting GOAT in this league. But now back to Jenny's question about what happened just in 2019. Clearly, Deshaun Watson was the clutchest quarterback in 2019. And as you point out, Shannon, he just keeps doing what he did twice at Clemson against St. Nick's defense when he was even more saintly than St. Nick's defense. He threw parties on St. Nick's defense twice in a row in championship games, narrowly lost one, pulled one out with clutch last-second walk-off throw to Mike Renfro.
Blah, blah, blah. Let's go a little forward here.
Bill O'Brien just keeps making boneheaded.
Oh, did I? Oh, crap. Skipped it. So, that's fine. I mean, kind of got where I wanted, but you heard the gist of that and how fucking utterly stupid that is. Like, first of all, and then if you want to go into that and read it yourself or listen to it yourself, he goes and talks about. Again, he mentioned fucking Tom Brady. Again, with the Tom Brady thing, like, Tom had his chance. Oh, he didn't have weapons. Okay, so what? And now the weapons he has are deep threat weapons that are going to run downfield, like I pointed out in another video. And when have you ever seen Tom, other than 10 years ago, really fucking throw deep past 20 yards on a consistent basis? He can't. He doesn't do that. So to think that he's going to do that at 43, whatever. And again, he might improve. I mean, he's going to improve Tampa, or he may. He has an opportunity to. Right? That doesn't mean he's going to be a Super Bowl. Are you seriously? Like, again, what? All of a sudden the Ravens fucking disappeared and aren't a good team? All of a sudden San Francisco's not a good team? All of a sudden the Saints aren't? Like, you got so many fucking layers of teams to get past before you can even think about Kansas City. What are you talking about? So I don't give a shit that it's Tom Brady. So what? It's Tom Brady and a broken down old Gronk? Gronk wasn't even great before he retired. Like that last couple of seasons, he was still broken down and wasn't putting up the numbers, and Kelsey was whooping his ass. So again, is he an upgrade from the tight end they have? Probably. I don't know what tight end they had or whatever. Obviously, he wasn't a mega superstar. But yeah, so he's an upgrade. Sure, he's going to be on the field longer than 5 weeks. I doubt it. He probably gets hurt in week 6, takes another 6-week vacation, doesn't come back till week 15, plays 2 more games, and then they're bumped out of the playoffs. Yeah, real good run. So, but that's Tampa. So again, it's such a dumb conversation of who's more clutch and trying to point out. And then he points out, here's the other thing I love. We've talked about this before. Well, if it wasn't for his weapons, if you gave because I think he even says it in the video. If you gave Deshaun Watson all of his weapons and all that, and then there was something else I was watching where they talked about that about actually no, I think it was Stephen A. Jackson or Stephen A. Smith. Sorry, Stephen A. Smith was saying that in another interview, talking about Mahomes, and again they're leaning back towards the weapons and you know, Mahomes wouldn't be as good and wouldn't have a ring and all that if it wasn't for the weapons. Now, granted, that may be true. He may not have a ring, but to say that he still isn't as great with or without the weapons, I'm going to prove that point here later on in this video. We're going to look at something else further on that topic. But again, to me, it's just such a stupid, laughable topic. Like, how do you justify? Deshaun Watson had the same opportunity, couldn't beat Mahomes last year, right? They lost to the Chiefs. There's that. They lost in the playoffs when they were down when it counted. And again, what does clutch mean? What does clutch mean? That means that when the most important game at that moment, right, the most important game of the season, when everything's on the line, your superstar step up, your leader, your quarterback steps up, leads your team, and takes you to that next level. Clearly, and again, and I like Deshaun Watson, he's a good quarterback, but he couldn't get it done in the playoffs. His team loses, right? So again, it's stupid. And then later in that video, Skip Bayless talks about how Mahomes threw. This is so stupid. Revisionist history, right? He threw 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter. You're clutch, and he's like trying to point out, like, to, you know, how Mahomes isn't clutch because he threw the 2 interceptions in the third quarter, and then in that late, you know, or like early in that fourth quarter. Yeah, so what's your point? What did he do after that, Skip? It's called clutch for a fucking reason, not, oh, were you good in the beginning of the game or in the middle of the game or, you know, these fucking couple of minutes or whatever at this certain point in the game. That's not what the topic was. It was fucking clutch. And what does clutch mean? End of game. End of game when the game's on the line. Who's the most important person? Who stepped up? Who didn't buckle under the pressure? Right? Who did you count on? Yeah, that proves even more why he's fucking clutch. He threw 2 interceptions, and what did he do? He turned around, he shook it off. He's like, I don't care. Like, we're making mental mistakes, we're making stupid mistakes. Don't worry about it. We're gonna get back in this. Stay focused. And what did they fucking do? They came back and beat the San Francisco, one of the best team, the number 1 team in their conference, second best team in football. And they came back to beat them to win the Super Bowl. Okay, so it's just fucking dumb. He threw 2 interceptions, yeah, and then he fucking threw like 4 touchdowns right after that, or whatever fuck the number is. You know, there were 2 touchdowns to come back, whatever it was. So again, just fucking dumb, stupid. Like, and again, I get it on one sense that you're trying to make, you're trying to create topics because it's a slow news day. But god damn it, I mean, can you make it any more fucking obvious that it's bullshit? Like, just put a fucking paper on it, like behind you that says, I don't believe any of the bullshit I'm saying right now, but I need this check, right? I at least would respect that dumb bullshit. So again, that's my rant for fucking dumbass Skip Bayless as usual. So let's moving on here. Now I talked about we're gonna touch on 2. This will be a bit of a shorter video. You know, probably won't go like an hour or anything because it, like I said, it's slow. So a couple of topics we're gonna touch on here is Mahomes' contract, Chris Jones' contract. That kind of people are freaking out on that. But one of the other things I mentioned, Stephen A. Smith, and how people always point out Mahomes is only successful because of the weapons he has around him. Now I will adhere to the idea that he is the absolute best on his game due to the other weapons that he has. When you put the best with the best, you get the best quality. That's just fucking that simple. Obviously, you put the best with mediocre players or even shitty players, you're still going to get good, right? You're still going to get a good product because the best is elevating everybody else. And that's the point I'm trying to make. When people try to say that Mahomes is only great because of the weapons, is absolute fucking horseshit and dog shit, and you haven't been paying attention. Okay? Go back to his tape at Texas Tech and look at those highlights. He was on the shittiest fucking team possible. That team had no defense. It had no offensive line. It had no real star wide receivers and no star running backs. And if you think I'm bullshitting Name me a Texas Tech wide receiver that's a starter on any NFL team right now. That is the number one receiver. Guess what? You can't, because none of them are. Okay. There's his star receiver that was on Texas Tech. I forget his name at the moment. I don't know. He has a really funny name though, and I can't remember it at the moment. But whatever. Look it up. But Mahomes' star wide receiver when he was at Texas Tech is, I believe, a backup or like the second or third wide receiver on the Ravens or the Saints or something, right? So again, he's not Michael Thomas, right? He's not the number one guy. He's on the roster. He's on a team, but he's second, third option, right? And he's not even like a name that you hear all the time. It's just he's just another wide receiver on there. Same with, again, running backs. I don't know who the running back was. I'm sure maybe he's on an NFL team. I don't know. I don't even know if he got drafted. But again, all those guys on that team were, Mahomes was clearly the NFL superstar caliber player, and everybody else was just being elevated by him being there. I guarantee none of those players that did make it to the NFL would have made it if he wasn't on that team, or would have went undrafted. But his receiver and some of the other guys probably got drafted at a higher position because he made them look good. And they still want. But if you look at the Texas Tech, even on that shitty team, he still put up numbers. He put up amazing stats. The difference was because I had no defense. It was like the Chiefs a couple of years ago when we had the shittiest defense in the league, where it was a shootout, or as long as we're up by a bunch of points, and then we're not going to blow it at the end. But that's what it is. It was a race to the end, because as soon as the other team got the ball, they scored on them, and Mahomes was forced to throw 50 plus times a game and just to stay in it. And maybe they win, maybe they did, but they had no defense. So again, go look at the tape. Go look at this Texas Tech tape. But if you want NFL proof, okay, again, they talked about Kelsey and Hill and Kareem Hunt at the time, Sammy Watkins, right? Oh, yeah, those weapons, blah, blah, blah. So did Alex Smith. But guess what? We're going to go to some highlights here. Mahomes' debut NFL game when he was still the backup to Alex Smith, and he played with the second and third team squad while the rest of his starters were getting ready for the playoffs, week 17 of the 2018 season, right? Yeah. 2017 season. Plays the final game of the season with all the backups against the Denver Broncos starting squad, starting defense. His best receiver, his number one receiver, was Albert Wilson at the time, who now is over in the Miami Dolphins. And he got paid because of Mahomes, because of this game. So here's Mahomes with no fucking weapons, with, all of the third, or at least I don't want to say no weapons, but less weapons. No starters, all second and third string guys. Demarcus Robinson would be elevated after this point, but even this is 2 years ago, Demarcus Robinson. I think this was his rookie year too. So he was like still kind of learning and even more raw. Like it wasn't the Demarcus Robinson that we see today that's very confident, right? So let's go to this. I want to show you what I'm talking about. I'm gonna fast forward because I want to go to a specific part here. As soon as the stupid ass commercial goes away. So let's go back here. So about right here, let's check this out. So what we notice in this game before I play this, I'm going to try to scoot out of the screen here so you can see a little bit better. As a matter of fact, give me a second. Oh, that kind of puts me more on the screen, doesn't it? All right. There we go. So what we're going to notice here in a second is the team was a little off, right? If you watch this game again. So yeah, week 17, right? 2018, week 17, Denver Broncos versus the Chiefs, Mahomes' first fucking NFL game, right? Final game of the season. Team's a little rattled. Again, like they're missing like wide open passes. They don't understand that the play is never dead with him. This is like they're just learning that stuff, right? Again, this is his first game as an NFL starter, and with all the backups, right? So a little shaky. But right here, this next play that you're gonna see, this is where you start to see the Mahomes, where he starts to show the team and the guys that he's playing with, the play's never over, and he starts to really bring their confidence up. Like they're kind of playing rattled, they're playing like second and third stringers. All of a sudden, Mahomes starts to fucking nail him. He starts to show that magic, and you see in real time how he raised their level of play. All of a sudden, Albert Wilson starts making phenomenal catches. He starts playing and stepping up like he's a number one wide receiver, and he's never been that. He's always been a role player. But in this game, he has the game of his career. And I forget what the stats were, but he finished something like 230 yards or something like that for 14 catches or some crazy, and like 3 touchdowns or 2 touchdowns or whatever the hell it was. Look it up. I don't know, but I know it was a big stat. Again, that's why he got paid the following season at Miami because of this game. But let's take a look. Watch this. Watch this. They think they got him down. Nope. Bang. They're going to show. Look at this replay. Hang on a second. Do something a little fun here. Forgot I could do that. He just throws this away, I believe. Yeah. So again, a little rattled, right? He just throws it away. A little dump off. That's Akeem Hunt, not Kareem Hunt. We had 2 Hunts at that point. He's not on the team anymore. That's Albert Wilson. What a catch. Look at this catch. Knows he's going to get hit. And look at Albert Wilson. This is where he starts to believe it. He's like, bam. He just kept running. The sequence of plays is amazing. Dumps it off. Bam. Albert Wilson, right? Again, came back for the ball. He started to see and realize, oh, damn, my quarterback's still alive. I better start playing. That's how routine is that for us to see now. How much now, when we watch our Chiefs play today, that's how they play. Everybody calls it backyard football. You know, it's like he's back there. They're back there playing backyard football and video game because of Mahomes. Again, that's Albert Wilson. You don't see Tyreek Hill. Where's Tyreek Hill? He's not on the field. Travis Kelce not on the field. Kareem Hunt's not on the field. Sammy Watkins not on the field. The only player that is on this offensive squad right now that is still a legit actual starter is Richard Sherman. Or I'm sorry, not Richard. Anthony Sherman. Excuse me. Anthony Sherman, our fullback, and he's actually there as a running back. Okay, he's the starting running back on this little squad. How funny is that? I think he gets him a touchdown at some point in the game. He had, so again, but you see this, so you see the play. Like when you watch this game, you get to see a preview of what we would have come to expect from the Chiefs team now. And what the world calls is like running gun, is backyard football. But what it is routine for the Chiefs and for Mahomes. This is what he was doing in practice. What the world did not know, what they didn't believe that we were saying. When people were like behind the scenes, this kid is amazing, this kid is magic, because he does not give up on those plays. He does not, he comes back, he fights. Look at this. How familiar is this? He doesn't get that. He steps out, right? His foot went out on the first. On like the 1 yard line, but that attitude, right? So here you see, so right there, unfortunately steps out, so they call it back. And again, but you see the confidence. All of a sudden, from this point on, the team started to play bigger. They started to come back. They started to realize if I'm still running my route and I've run I've run it all the way to the end. Let me turn around and come back because maybe Mahomes is still up. So I think that's Chesson. Oh, that was D-Rob again. I think he was a rookie at this point, so still learning the game. Wasn't completely locked in with Mahomes yet. Albert Wilson again. You know. It's a tight end. I don't think he's on the team anymore. I might be wrong. Demetrius Harris. Yeah, I know he's not. He's one of the guys we lost. There's D-Rob. So now you're starting to see D-Rob coming back now, right? Starting to learn to come back to the ball and don't give up on the play. Watch a couple more of these. So that was a bad decision, but again, he was a rookie. You know. And so again, you know, I think that was on the receiver. Like he gave him a good ball, but they just, you know, they were still learning him. Bang. Anthony Sherman, our fullback. They robbed him on that one. That was a first down. So I'm going to speed up here. And the funny thing about this game is they get ahead. They're winning. They pull Mahomes out at like 7 minutes of the fourth quarter because then they're just beating the Broncos. And they put in, I forget who our backup quarterback was. At that, I don't know if it was Kyle Orton. It might have been. Or somebody else. And they start to lose. And the Broncos almost come back, or they do come back. It's like almost a tie game towards like the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. They put Mahomes back in. They put him back in the game. They tell him, go back out there. You think you can win the game. And the idea behind that was Reed wanted to see what he can do in a real game situation when the game's on the line. Can you bring back the squad? And he does. See, so they were at 14 minutes there. We were winning 24-10. So we were crushing them 24-10. They were like, all right, we got this. Now look, it's 24-24. Let's watch. Let's go back and watch the beginning of this sequence. Do they give? I wonder what they give us. 2 minutes. Oh. So this is the beginning of the fourth, right? So we're gonna speed past this. Here we go. So they pick it up right at the 2 minute warning. So Mahomes I think came in at like the 5 minute mark. You can go back and watch the whole game on the Game Pass or whatever. But this is the 2 minute drill. So they're tied up. They bring back Mahomes. I don't remember if they started to lose. No, they just came back because it's tie score. It's 24. So it's 24-24. Broncos come back. They put Mahomes back in the last 5 minutes, and this is the last 2 minute drive. Let's watch. Again, elevating his team, making second and third string players step up, making them believe that they're better than they are, right? That's what a fucking elite quarterback does. A real fucking like franchise quarterback, team leader. Like that's what they do. That kind of elite talent elevates everybody else. Look at how hard Albert Wilson's running. Again, best game of his career. And it was a game that really didn't really matter at that point. We were already in the playoffs. We were already locked in the spot we were in. The sad part about this game is I don't think Mahomes gets a throwing touchdown. I don't think he ever did. all of their points. He would lead them in. He would lead them all the way to the end zone, and then they would just run it in. And he got that one touchdown, pulled back for him. I think he just gets him close enough to kick the field goal, and yeah. So, and then they call it. So again, you don't believe? Watch that whole game. The whole game is fantastic, and you really get to see the magic of what Mahomes is. Hopefully that didn't sound like kind of too shitty. I don't know if the microphone was pointed the right direction, but we'll see. All right, let me get set up again. Get back into position here, guys. See what we got. Am I pointing in the right direction? Yeah. Now I am. See, microphone was pointed the wrong way. All right. So, I mean, again, that was his debut game highlights. I mean, so when people tell me or I hear dumb shit like he's only successful because of the weapons, what do you call that? Where were the weapons on that squad? And he still came back to win the game. He still led them 24-10. Then the backup, the third string quarterback started to, I think it was Matt. No, it wasn't Matt Moore. Oh, who gives a shit, whoever it was. But the third string quarterback started to lose that game in the defense and started to stop putting up points. He wasn't generating any more points. Those 24 points were all got by Mahomes. And when he was on the field, he gets out. The other quarterback can't do shit. I believe he even threw a couple of interceptions. Caused a fumble. Denver's defense started to step up and started to come back. Then they started to score, and then they were like, you know what, Mahomes, get back in there. Let's see if you can win the game. And he did. So without the stars. So again, when people say that his skill level is only, is only due to the weapons is bullshit. No. Does it make it better? Yes. It's the best of the best, showcase the best. That's just what that is. But that does not diminish his skill level. All that does is now he can utilize his ability to the absolute 100% potential of what it is. And what did we get out of it? We got an MVP his starting season, the following year when he got to be a full-time starter. We got an MVP of the NFL. Then we got a Super Bowl MVP and a Super Bowl winner and a Super Bowl team, right? And that's what we got. And that's when you have that combination. When you have elite players, an elite supporting cast with the elite quarterback and the best quarterback in football. That's what you get. All right. So, yeah. I don't want to talk about that. So, now moving on, we'll touch on the Chris Jones thing and the Patrick Mahomes contract, right? Everybody, that's the big topic, right? The Mahomes contract, Chris Jones contract, and what are they going to do and all that. So let's talk about Chris Jones first. I saw something that somebody read, like the caption of the headline. I think it was Arrowhead Pride. I love Arrowhead Pride, but sometimes they kind of get a little wacky. Give me a second here. All right, yeah, replay on. Give me a second. What do you mean it's not available? Oh.
First thing I wanted to do when I became the starter for Kansas City was bring the Lamar Hunt trophy back to Kansas City, back to this organization. And the second was
Just-
the Lombardi trophy for the greatest coach of all time.
Just pick up.
Green, baby. This season, the adversity we
All right. Give me a second. All right. So we'll just let that play in the background so we have some cool little shit to look at. So the caption was Chris Jones and Chris Jones contract. Chris Jones and the Chiefs haven't even begun talks or haven't even began to speak about his contract, or complete opposite sides of the spectrum and all this shit. So who fucking cares? Like it's like yeah, and it's probably true, because guess what? the reality is, how can you really talk? Like, with the exception of Mahomes, because it's just obvious, like, yeah, obviously he's going to get a big contract. Yeah, they can talk about it. But at the end of the day, especially with other players and Chris Jones, who they've already franchise tagged, they're in no hurry to get his deal done, especially because they don't know what they haven't done Mahomes' deal yet. They have Chris Jones locked in, like, okay, we at least know at this point what we're going to pay you with the franchise tag. Here's a guaranteed buttload of money because you're franchised, right? Now, again, they talk about injury and all that, but that's every player, right? Barring injury. But the other thing is, again, with the coronavirus, with all the uncertainty of the season, you don't know if we're going to get full games with full attendance. So you don't know. So they don't know what they're going to make. So it makes sense. And again, I'm not saying this is okay. I'm not saying that, I'm on the side of the owners, but I at least understand that, yeah, of course they're not talking to them. How can they? They don't know what's going to happen as far as the season's concerned yet. They don't know what the final salary cap's going to be yet. So they don't know how much money they're playing with. How are you going to try to make a purchase? Like, nobody goes into a store and doesn't know what they have in their wallet and just decides, oh, let me go buy that $4,000 TV, but I'm not really sure what I have in the bank, right? That would be fucking stupid. So you're not going to go buy something when you're not sure what you have in the bank yet. And that's just what's going on. So I'm not concerned about Chris Jones and the Chiefs that they're not talking and they haven't even begun negotiations yet. Well, of course not. Why would they? Why would they when they don't know? When there's no, because his contract is a little more complicated in the sense that, he's obviously not a irreplaceable player. Like, I don't want him to go anywhere. I hope he stays with the team. Me and the Brit Chief talked about it. We're hoping that he's going to be around for at least another year. If they can get a long-term deal done with him, fuck yeah, then we have him for another 4 or 5 years and a great addition, great player. But if they don't, he makes his money, he gets another Super Bowl with the team, and he rides off into the sunset and goes and makes a shitload of money with someone else. I got no problem with that. So, sorry I keep fucking with the mic. I'm trying to get it in a decent position here, where the whole thing's not blocking my face and you can still hear me. So I'm not concerned with Chris Jones. With Mahomes, it's different. Mahomes is the face of the franchise. He's not going anywhere. They're not going to trade him. They're not going to let him seek free agency. That's all fucking horse shit. Like, that's never going to happen. So they understand that they would start those talks first because there's an easier jump off point. With Chris Jones, there's not. There's a harder negotiation because he's not the number one nose tackle or whatever, edge rusher, whatever you want to call him, whatever position he actually plays, like that, the specific name for it, I don't know off the top of my head. But he's not the number one, like the definitive number one guy in that position where you know what the number is going to be, or at least know what the number that you're going to play with is going to be, right? You got guys like Aaron Donald. You got guys like, what's the other dude? Or even in our team, we get Frank Clark. You got guys like D Ford and, from the Niners and their squad. You got, let's name a bunch of those fucking dudes. The former Houston guy, I think he's a free agent now. Jesus, whatever, doesn't matter. But my point is you don't have. Well, I guess I lied. I said this video wasn't going to be that long. We probably will approach an hour, so fuck it, cool. He's not, again, my point is he's among the elite. He's among one of the best in his position, but he's not the hands down number one guy, like defensive, like edge rusher that 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 you're just like, yeah, that's the one, right? Because there's so many other players that are also in that conversation. So they have to see what the market is. They have to, okay, what do the other players make? What do the Aaron Donalds make? What do the Khalil Mack, that was the other fucking guy I was trying to think of. Khalil Mack and Aaron Donald, like, what do they make? Where's their pay scale at? Well, where do we evaluate how much Chris Jones should be making among those players and among those elite, that squad, and he got us a Super Bowl title. So all of that has to come into play. Whereas with Mahomes, there's no fucking debate. There's no, maybe Aaron Rodgers is better. Maybe Russell Wilson might be better. No, nobody. Everybody fucking knows, whether you like it or not, whether you want to admit it or not. Patrick Mahomes is the number one quarterback in the NFL, and arguably the number one best player in the NFL. That's just fucking fact. Nobody does what he does. Lamar Jackson is fantastic. he does great things on his legs, but his arm is nowhere near what Mahomes is. His football IQ is nowhere near what Mahomes is. His decision making on the field is nowhere near where Mahomes is. His best asset is his elite speed and agility to get in and out of blocks and run around guys and all that. And that's fantastic. We've never seen that from a quarterback. But I like what somebody said, and I forget who it was, but somebody pointed out how you don't, if a running back did quarterback style things, nobody would praise him. It would just be like, oh yeah, cool, great job. Like threw a couple of passes or whatever. Like, made a couple of okay, good passes, but shut up and run. Like, so it's like I understand that makes sense. It's like, yeah, if it was a running back that was throwing, and I'm not calling Lamar Jackson a running back. I'm just pointing out that if it was a running back who was badass and doing his normal running back stuff, and then threw a couple of passes, through like a handful of passes throughout the season that maybe gained 500 yards in passing. No one's calling that guy an MVP. They're just like, oh wow, that's amazing. But nobody's gonna be like, oh, that guy's So they were making it like he need his main position as a quarterback, which is throwing, needs to step up an amazing amounts of levels before you can call him or compare him to Patrick Mahomes. Now he's a rival. He's another great player, another elite player. Among those quarterbacks, again, I think he's second. I think it's Mahomes. I think it's a distant second as far as just dynamic ability and talent with Lamar Jackson. I think Deshaun Watson is right there. Obviously, you got Russell Wilson. You still got Aaron Rodgers. You still got Drew Brees. But I'm talking about like the young guys, again, with Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson. And Russell Wilson is still there. He's still fairly young. Notice I didn't say like Kyle Murray because prove it. You haven't done child care or rookie of the year. I don't see how. Again, maybe I'm not looking at the stats and maybe that's what they're building it on. But when you're like a losing team, how are you the rookie of the year? Like, I don't get that shit, but whatever. So yeah, that's again. So with the Chris Jones thing, his contract, again, to me, it's a non-issue. I understand why they're not doing it. There's just more there that they got to hash out. They got to know what the season's going to look like and what the projected income's going to be. So they know, okay, well, the team's going to make about this much now. Now we know, again, because they never had this problem. We've never had this problem. Every NFL team came into every season prior to this knowing, or at least having an idea of what they were going to make, of what that upcoming season was fairly, going to make. And they knew, even the shitty teams like the Browns, I'm sure know about what they're going to make. I'm sure they have aspirations to make more and be like, because like every year, like this is the year, but they know what they make and they know what their average is based on every year that they suck, right? So they still have that number. They're like, okay, this is where we're at. We want to be here, but this is where we're at. The Chiefs, obviously the same way. They know where they've been, and it's been this climb for sure, and they're making, I'm sure, a shit ton of money now, more than ever because of the Super Bowl win. So teams know. But right now, it's all up in the air because they don't know, because we don't know what's going to happen with the season, with if we're going to play all the games. Like, I hope so. Like, everybody's hoping for that, but we just don't know. So I think once that's kind of out of the way, and let's say in 2 months, right around before preseason, we finally have the green light, everything's kind of set normal, and the coronavirus is under control, and the lockdowns are kind of a lot less, if not completely done, and people are able to go back to the normal lives. They're like, okay, cool, we got somewhat regular training camp, and we got a full preseason. Let's get into it, and then they don't have to worry about attendance. They don't have to worry about the people not being there or whatever, and then they can really start to talk. But I think until then, they can't. And again, it's not like the Mahomes situation. They know what they're going to pay him regardless. Like, they know because they can at least project, okay, when this ends, we know he's the best. We don't have to negotiate between, is he the third best, is he the fourth best, is he the second best, I don't know, where do we put that number? They don't have to discuss any of that shit. They know he's the best. So all they got to do is come up with the number. Are we going to pay him $45 million a year? Or are we going to pay him $40 million a year and be the first quarterback to have a percentage deal based on revenue? And there's a lot of speculation that that's what's going to happen, that he's going to be the first quarterback in history, which I'm completely great with. I think that is awesome if they do this, because he deserves it, to be the first quarterback in NFL history to get a cut of the revenue of the team, a cut of the percentage of the team, like of what they make, and that's because that's apparently never happened in the NFL. They hammer out the salary and their contract and whatever millions that they get per year, and that's what it is. And obviously they got their endorsements and all that, but when it came to percentage of like a cut of the team of the revenue, no quarterback has ever gotten that. So that would be amazing. I think he would, if there's going to be a first quarterback that's what he gets, and that's then it would definitely be Patrick Mahomes. So, and that's what a lot of the talk is. That's what a lot of people believe. So if that's what they're talking about, again, they know that. They're like, here's the top, here's the high number, here's what we're thinking, and that's what they're going to, it's an easier estimation to make when you know he's the best. When you don't have a player who you don't absolutely know is the best, and you got to evaluate his worth alongside his peers in his position and decide where he fits, that again, it's murky. It's a harder evaluation. When you know the guy's the best, then you know where to start. You know where the number is. You know here's the highest paid quarterback at whatever $28 million a year guaranteed, which is Kirk Cousins, I guess, or $33 million, whoever the fuck it is, right? That's the highest paid. It's like, well, yeah, we need to top that, obviously. So now $40 million, $45 million. People talk about dumbass Dak Prescott, and I like Dak, but honestly, come on, bro. You're nowhere. Notice I didn't name him when I said young quarterbacks. He wasn't among that list in that top 5 or whatever, or just best quarterbacks. He's not. I don't think he's the top 5. I gave you, kind of what I feel are top 5. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, right? You could even swap Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees, but in that category, if you wanted to. But and then maybe Dak Prescott after that, or but so when they talk, he turned down the money that they offered him $33 million or something like that a year, and he turned it down. I think it's stupid. Just take the fucking money. Bro, you're not Mahomes. You're not getting $45 million. You're not getting fucking $40 million. Now, unless he's thinking that they're going to give Mahomes like $50 million a year, some crazy. Now, and again, I'm not saying that's not possible. I mean, maybe they know something we don't. But if that's what he's thinking, he's like, I'm holding out, because if the best quarterback is getting $50 million, I want at least 40. Okay, I can see that. That makes sense, But yeah, you're not in the same stratosphere. I don't care what your stat. I don't care your QBR, and he's number 1 in passes over. Like, that was another dumb shit Skip Bayless kept saying, how passes over 20 yards and he's number 1 in that category. Yeah, guess what? Mahomes was fucking injured most of the season. Okay, yeah, he only missed 2 games, but he was injured from week 2 to about week 10. Okay, where he was not 100%. He just played injured, and then then obviously the games he missed. So that's why his stats were down. But at the end of the day, again, it's called winning. And when you can't lead your team to wins, I don't care what your stats are. Because if that was the case, why the fuck wasn't Alex Smith the MVP his final season with the Chiefs? He put up 4,000 yards and I believe 30 touchdowns or some shit, 33 touchdowns, 36 touchdowns, something like that. He was up there, man. And he wasn't even in the conversation for MVP, which is fucking bullshit. And, granted, he got paid over in Washington, and then unfortunately, the injury happened. But again, he wasn't being talked about as being the highest paid quarterback or even close to the highest paid quarterback. He got a good contract, but nobody's talking about him. And if you look at his win percentage, better than Dak Prescott. His QBR, better than Dak Prescott across his whole career, right? If you look at yards per catch or whatever, like, per throw, better than Dak Prescott. So don't give me that bullshit that they're trying to base it on his stats, when at the end of the day it comes down to wins and what you can really do for your team, right? You're middle of the road at best. Take that number and shut up. You're right. You're not Mahomes, bro. And I like Dak, but you're not Mahomes. Sorry. So, what else? What else did I want? I think that was it. Yeah, we talked about Chris Jones' contract, talked about Mahomes' contract, right? I think that's it. I mean, again, it's kind of a slow football week. There's not really much to talk about. Obviously with all the crazy shit going on in the world right now, it's sad. It's a crazy time. I hope everybody's safe out there and trying to be, and definitely there needs to be justice in this world. And I'm not going to get into that on the Chiefs show, but I understand we're not blind. to what's going on in the world, man. And it's there's reasons why people are pissed off. I'll just say that. I definitely understand. There's definitely a reason why people are pissed off. But beyond that, man, be safe. Hopefully we do get a full-on season, and we'll see what next week brings. Actually, I take that back. I know exactly what we're doing next week. Next week's going to be fun. Next week is going to be a pretty long video, real long-form video. And next week we're going to be doing a watch-along. And I'm going to be joined by a very good friend of mine. You guys have heard me talk about him on the show. We've been giving him shit for the last 3 weeks. Raider fan. Good buddy of mine. We do a lot of work together. We've known each other for many, many years. I'm talking about Dan Clore of Strength in Numbers Entertainment, vocalist and guitar frontman, guitar player for Weapon X, the heavy metal band, the founder and pioneer of American Warrior Festival. So Dan Clore will be joining me next week, and we will be doing a watch along for week 2 of Raiders versus Chiefs of last season, and I'm gonna have it back there. I'm probably gonna have it on my screen on my computer as well, so I can actually see it in real time, and you guys can kind of glance at that. But we'll do that together, or we'll give you guys the time. We're probably gonna talk some shit a little bit before we hit play. I'll give you guys the timestamp. We'll all hit play together, and we're just gonna watch the game. And talk shit, and we'll see what happens. So it should be some fun times. Until then, I'll see you guys. This has been another episode of Most Foul Chief. I'm Don T. Pena. I'm out. Peace.